We've been talking about FTX for about a week, and there is no end in sight. So senators are planning to push forward with crypto legislation backed by Sam Bankman-Fried, despite the FTX founder's fall from grace. Now, as we know, Bankman-Fried frequently met with lawmakers to weigh in on how the industry should be regulated. The bipartisan Digital Commodities Consumer Protection Act is backed by Senator Debbie Stabenow and Ranking Member John Boozman. Both have received donations from Bankman-Fried. The bill would give the CFTC oversight of the crypto spot market, and crypto broker-dealers would be required to register with the CFTC. A lot to unpack here. Zach, I'm kicking it right back to you. What do you think of this?
DCCPA is still alive after all these implosions. We're still talking about this. In some ways, I think this sort of catalyzed some of the blowback that Sam Bankman-Fried caught from big figures in the crypto world. Eric Voorhees of Shapeshift, CZ, we're certainly taking him to task over this bill because it was unfavorable to DeFi, to decentralized exchanges, to on-chain trading activity, that maybe some of the transparency of that would have prevented what we saw with the FTX implosion. So the fact that this is still has legs is quite remarkable. I would be shocked to see if this advanced in a meaningful way, given the specter of SBF on this bill and how linked he is to the debates around this one. But who knows? Strange things happened in DC, and whether or not this becomes the true test of the ability to buy influence and power in DC power circles, that could become interesting to watch if this still has some legs, even if SBF is down and out. Wendy, what are you thinking here?
I'm really angry. I am immensely angry. I'm upset for all the people that lost money. I'm upset at what Sam's tweeting. I'm upset that this bill is still getting pushed through. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact that these people accepted a political donation, which I get it, that happens, it's politics, but the fact that they think it's still okay to push this through is absolutely beyond me. This man committed so many different crimes, and they think it's okay. They just think it's okay. It's just going to skirt by. They're going to go ahead and push it through like nothing. Like consumers don't matter, that retail doesn't matter. I'm going to pass it to somebody else because I'm just infuriated right now.
Yeah, I'll snag it really quick. What's dead may never die, and I think that happens with Capitol Hill and regulation. Just because Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX were behind this bill and they had a meaningful impact on its drop and with the donations to all the legislators behind it, doesn't mean that these legislators are going to let it just pass away. I don't think there is enough of a reason for them to do that. They probably stand behind what they've drafted up, and they're going to continue pushing it forward. Most people want some sort of crypto regulation. Even people in the crypto space want crypto regulation. I think this is a good time for a lot of hotshot senators or members of the House to draft something, get their name on it, and make themselves something. Crypto is a hot topic, and for senators and for people in the House, this is a way to make a career. So why would you throw something out like this, even if it has someone's name like SBF attached to it? There might be something good in there, might not be good at all, but at the very least, I think this is politics, right? They're going to continue to push the button on it. It is frustrating, and as you mentioned, Zach, this got a lot of blowback in the DeFi community and the crypto community itself, and for good reason. There's a lot of things in this that are not favorable to any of those different sectors, and there's alternatives, right? We know that there's alternatives that are available. So hopefully that changes shortly. Jen, I think I saw your hand go up, so I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic reading through some of the provisions of the bill now that we're getting all of this information about what was going on at FTX behind the scenes. So the bill requires platforms to keep good records for at least 5 years, share information with the CFTC on request, appoint a chief compliance officer, and submit provisions that protect against fraud, deceit, and manipulation. I thought it was interesting too. The bill calls for the CFTC to produce reports within 6 months of the bill's passing, including one on historically underserved customers that will examine racial, ethnic, and gender demographics of crypto users, and to use that information to inform regulation. I don't think this is necessarily bad when we're talking about centralized exchanges, but that DeFi provision really feels, now that we're learning about what happened at FTX, very motivated. I think that we should have DeFi, we should have CeFi. As long as everyone has the information, we can make choices based on our risk tolerance and based on our wants and needs. But just reading those provisions in this article, I think that centralized exchanges need that maybe to prevent what's happening at FTX from happening again. The fact that Sam Bankman-Fried was so involved in this, though, is quite ironic.
I'll offer one last thought. I thought Wendy was going to go in. I was just seating.
Actually,
I was just waiting for her to go. No,
Guys, we're too veterans to let the dead
It's
air
okay.
shit like that.
It's cool. It's all right. I got one last thought. I got one last thought. Yeah. So I think the DeFi crowd would cry that this sort of ensconces centralized exchanges as the actors in a regulated crypto environment in the US. And I think it does speak to sort of this weird separation between the idea that code can be more trusted than centralized actors. I would argue that most regulators and lawmakers see those centralized actors, those known parties, those companies, something that they're familiar with dealing with, as the more trusted entity in this scenario that this bill is advancing, right? But in reality, I think what we could credibly argue is that the DeFi stuff, the DEXs, the DeFi protocols that prohibit some of this stuff because they are on chain, they are transparent in a way that FTX wasn't, those may be the more trusted things that we can rely on for a crypto future. And I think that what we'll see is continued debate around whether or not that can be advanced in DC in a way that resonates with lawmakers and policymakers. Can that conversation finally land on not deaf ears? Can it land on a receptive audience that sees trustless smart contracts as far more trustworthy intermediaries for our financial future? And I think that's going to be the work of crypto lobbying firms and others in DC, certainly in the coming weeks. Gonna be crazy to see. All right, we're changing gears. Who's got it? Pick me up.
It's me. I'm next, but really quickly, some of the good verbiage in that bill was actually stolen from a different bill to kind of push this regulation out and make people think, oh, this is a good idea, which in fact it's 100% not. It's very predatory.